The last two poems are some of the most famous Carpe Diem poems that have ever been written by Robert Herrick. To the virgins to make much of time. And I have bolded the key images, right? Flowers, nature, the sun. Dia, right? Dia means day. So we're going to see lots of images about like the day and time in these poems. Notice again, opposites, best, worst. Argumentative language. Then, but, for, because, right? Like, notice how Herrick builds his argument and the kind of images, mostly natural images, that he uses to talk about time. And the last poem is the longest, Corinna's Going a Maying. And I bold again, morning, springtime, come let us go. And the last stanza has the most kind of important parts of the argument. Come let us go, our life is short, right? The sun, all of that. But think about if you've ever tried to get a friend to go to a party, that's basically what Herrick is talking about here. So as you read these poems, go back, think about what kind of images, notice any image that has to do with nature, notice any image that has to do with something that indicates time, day, the sun, the night, a journey, a year, right? Lifetime. And then notice how these are all arguments. All of these poems are arguments. How is the speaker trying to convince the person that they're speaking to? Okay, we will go a lot deeper into this in class.